All right, we are back here getting ready for the NBA playoffs here. The Knicks in the first round is a 3 seed taking on Detroit. We talked to this guy at the beginning of the season about the Knicks. We'll talk about the Knicks some more today and the playoffs as a whole. The great Kris Pursianen is back with us. Chris, welcome back to the podcast. How are you?
Dude, thank you so much. I'm good. I'm exhausted. I'm busy, but I'm happy. I'm fulfilled. I'm happy. On a personal note, I feel like it's been a little almost about a year since I've been able to proudly say that. I think I kind of went into like a hibernation of sorts, just saying yes to every job offered to me and working insane hours, working 70-hour weeks. Now I'm still working a lot, but it's all stuff that I feel is tangibly important to the direction I want my career to go in. So, on a personal note, I'm happier than I've been in a while. And with the NBA playoffs coming up, this is like it's like DJ Khaled is like the god in my life right now. Like he's just like, "Oh, you thought that was great? Another one.
Yeah.
Oh, you thought this playoff series was going to be cool? Another one. Oh, you wanted Cade Cunningham to make his playoff debut in his first All-Star season at the world's most famous another one.
Yeah.
Like everything is awesome right now. So can't wait to listen back to this in 2 weeks when I've like crashed my car or something. But and thank myself for jinxing it. But right now I'm sweet, dude. This is a great time of year. March Madness, fun little warm up. It's a stretch. It's a warm up. It's a good time, but it's like a Friday night out. You know, you kind of want to forget it by Sunday. You don't really want to still be thinking about it by the next week. You want to move on to the NBA playoffs. Let's do it, baby. I'm ready.
Yeah, for sure. New York fans obviously invested in the Knicks here because obviously we want talking going this season. There was all these high hopes. It's like, oh, like here's Mikal Bridges, here's Karl Anthony Towns. Like this is the Knicks team is going to build what they did last years and sort of become an elite team. And that kind of did and didn't happen. The big glare number, talk about the open of my show, 0-10 against the three best teams in the league here. And now we have the weird vibes where it felt like they were trying to actively lose games to avoid the Celtics down the stretch here by selectively resting their players here. Like, what's your big takeaway from what we saw of the Knicks this year? Because I feel like there is a lot more like angst around the Knicks in the playoffs now than there was the last 2 years.
Absolutely, man. So I called back to this recently. I made a thread in like 2023
Yeah.
before that season started, like in the off season, going into the 2023-2024 season. And I said, hey, man, y'all are mad about how that last season went. You're mad at Julius Randle. I understand,
Yeah.
but get this. These are the good times. You know that clip from The
Okay.
Office?
Yeah.
I wish someone would let me know I'm in the good times before they're over so I can really appreciate them. There I was.
Yeah.
I tried to let y'all know because I know how this Knicks front office operates. I knew that by now they would have successfully wished upon a star or two or three. And I knew that the expectations and the weight of them in this media market and in this arena and with these jerseys on, damn near insurmountable. Because you take a look at the Knicks right now, they're not surmounting the expectations and they won 51 games, right? So you look at a team that is clearly behind Cleveland and Boston, a fan base that for 2 decades said, we just want a lunch pail team. They can be 500, they can be worse than 500. Just give us a lunch pail team that we can hang our hat on rooting for, that we can be proud of. And now the New York Knicks are really good and they're a 51 win ball club, but they don't exactly do it in this super tough enforcing uh way. And so everyone is like, these guys are soft losers. This isn't what we wanted. But when Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo were here, it was Randle needs to go, tear down the posters of him outside the Garden during the playoffs. Like, people are funny, man. But I'm not trying to condescend to NBA fans. I'm just trying to say that I think this season for the Knicks was a fine season. I think it was a B minus of a season or a C plus, but not in the way that your teacher gives you a C plus, in the way your mom reacts to it, more in the way that, like, objectively speaking, 7.7 out of 10 is good. That is most. That is more than three quarters. That is a good season. I'm feeling positively about the Knicks' direction and future. Um, because their front office deserves it. And I know that's very deferential, but I don't think so, kind of in this way. The Mikal Bridges trade was, I think to me at least, just as much a shorting of the market for their first round picks going forward and for the salary they had that was taking up space on the roster going forward. It was as much a shorting of those markets as it was a buy into the market of Mikal Bridges. Because if Jaren Jackson Jr. signs that supermax with Memphis this offseason, and then that next year, a full first year with my fellow Finn Isalo as head coach, that doesn't go well. What is Memphis going to want to do around a revitalized Ja Morant and Desmond Bane? Are they going to want to get 5 first-round picks for Jaren Jackson Jr.? Or are they going to want a deal built around a guy in Mikal Bridges that they've spent the last 2 seasons trying to trade 4 first-round picks for? So, like, I do think the Knicks are kind of betting a little bit on making another Towns type trade where they take a Bridges and a McBride or a Bridges and a Robinson, you name it, and they move those players. So, looking at the Knicks this season, I'm optimistic about their future. I think they had an okay year. I think the biggest frustration for fans with this season for them, and Mike, I'd love for you to respond here, and tell me if I'm off base or not. I think the single most frustrating thing was not the fact that the team gave up 6 firsts, Randall and DiVincenzo, for the 2 new additions in Bridges and Towns. It's just that fans view the team's paths to improvement as being right there,
Yeah,
as being low hanging fruit,
yeah,
as being things that if these guys were who everyone else said they were, they would already be doing, like Mikal Bridges on the defensive end or Karl Anthony Towns behind the arc,
yeah.
taking the least threes per game he has since 2019. So, like, there are little ways that fans just know they could be getting more out of this team. And listen, if you tell someone, if you hire someone to do a job for you and they do it well, but you know they could be great, you're not happy. You feel cheated. So I understand the fans being frustrated. I just think perspective is important. What do you think about that low-hanging fruit angle? Because I do think that kind of is it.
Yeah, I think also the fan base has been built for so long on this idea of okay, you're gathering all these assets, we have these contracts, we have these picks. When we make the move or get the guys, they're going to be on that level with the Bostons of the world and the top contenders of the world. And then they finally convert some of those assets into actual players that you heard of and say, oh, like I know how good Mikal Bridges can be, I know how good Towns can be, and then you put them on the court with the Celtics who've been together for years, and then they look non-competitive in most of the games. In the last game, like they had everybody there, and then they get teased. It's basically they OG makes a bad play at the end of regulation. They get out the three, they get beaten overtime. And then you're sitting there going like, we don't feel any closer than they were last year when we had like the scrappy lunch pail team.
Yeah, yeah, and I do, the third matchup against Boston, the Knicks made it close by the end, and then Boston pulled away like they do. The fourth matchup was, I think Knicks fans should have came away from that matchup feeling better about how they matched up with Boston than after the first three, but that's only because the ending of the third and then the fourth, I guess, up until the end of the fourth quarter were the encouraging ones. I think OG Anunoby got his fair share of blame. I also think Jalen Brunson wasn't great there at the end of overtime against the Celtics and at the end of regulation. I thought the shots he was kind of forcing up were not good ones. And I thought they were being forced. So the team still needs to gel. Mikal Bridges, right? He's supposed to be the guy that, well, OG he can switch, but he switches down. Like he switches to the bigs. Mikhail's supposed to be able to switch up and chase around the Tyrese Maxeys, the Dame Lillards of the world. That's kind of how he got his reputation. So when you look at it from that perspective, to me, it's just kind of like, where is that effort and why do his best defensive games come when he's getting the most shot attempts? That's a frustrating trend, especially for a fan base that was so quick to shove Julius Randle out the door because of his effort seemingly being tied to his offensive production. Well, there was never any proof of that, but fans noticed it enough over time that they didn't like it. Here's Mikal Bridges doing the same thing. So, or the same trend is being formed, rather. And then Karl Anthony Towns, he's taking the cat thing a little too literally. Like Brunson will drive into the paint and it's like a cat following you around the house. He looks behind him. He's looking for the best shooting big man in the game, wide open at the top of the key. The guy's inside the free throw line, 2 steps behind him,
Yeah.
waiting for what? A tip slam?
Yeah.
A behind the back through the legs alley oop? Like what? So to me, it's a little bit like the Knicks are disjointed. Bridges is trying to get them to run more motion offense. He signals for it on the court. And the rest of the team out there, like Brunson, Hart, Anunoby, they're kind of like, okay, yeah, we're gonna do what we were gonna do instead. Like it's like a kid. And listen, I don't know if that's Mikal being the weird one, the odd one out. I don't know if it's the rest of the group. I kind of get the vibes that it's a little bit like there's a class where you do not have to hand in Nobel Prize winning projects every single time, and you'll get a good A minus, you'll get a solid B plus. And Mikal Bridges to me kind of seems right now like the kid being like, guys, we really got to go all out. Like we've got to put everything into this. And the rest of the group is like, what?
Like
Do
we
you
have
not
to.
have you not been around for the
Yeah.
last like do you not know how this teacher works? Like we just got to lock in for finals season.
Yeah.
Like we got to play like this in the playoffs. Right now we're kind of just chilling. So I don't get the sense that they're ignoring him entirely. I do get the sense that they're kind of treating him like he's telling the teacher they forgot to collect the homework.
Yeah.
Um and then with Towns, defensively, he's not the issue. Because if you're calling Carl Towns the issue with the defense, then you should be mad at Leon Rose.
Yeah.
And you should.
You did not get Carl Towns for his defense.
So it's kind of like misdirected, right? So that said, I wouldn't be mad at Leon Rose. I think he's done an excellent job, but that's where that anger should go. And with that in mind, I also do think like the offensive process from Towns, I'm not sure what's off there, but something's off. And here's why I really think something's off. Tom Thibodeau, when he is going to defend a player, when he is going to cover up for a player, will always say something that makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah.
And he says it with such clarity and conviction that the media almost knows to just lay off.
Yeah.
Like they let the quote speak for itself and they just lay it off. When Tom Thibodeau was asked about OG Anunoby not fouling there against Jason Tatum in that Fort Celtics game, what did he say? That's time and score and situation. And, Tatum, they inbounded it really quickly. Tatum got it up the court really quickly. Tatum, by the time he got it up the court, he couldn't, he got right into the shooting motion. So, like, he's lying.
Yeah.
And no one cares because they know he's covering for OG, and that's okay. Here's why I think he's covering up for Towns. First of all, I think he's a little worried about his job security, particularly if the Knicks don't make it to the Eastern Conference Finals or make it really competitive against Boston in a potential round two matchup. I don't think revitalizing the narrative that he and Towns don't get together when Towns is clearly someone the Knicks see as part of what they're doing and building. I don't think that's in his best interest career wise. So he's avoiding it. That's complete conjecture and speculation from me, by the way. I should say
Yep.
none of this is like a sourced report. But when I asked Tom Thibodeau, I said, Coach, from since the All-Star break to before it, Carl is averaging half the screen assists and half the screen assist points. So the screening is either less frequent or less effective. Which one is it? Why do you think that is?
Yeah.
Is that intentional? Is that an internal strategy? Is that just kind of the ebb and flow of the season? And I gave him an extra out. I said, do you think that's just the thumb injury kind of affecting the style of play? And Tom Thibodeau looked me in the eyes and he said, how do you define a screen assist?
Yeah.
And so I thought he was kind of like needling me at first. He was dead serious. So I answered the question dead seriously. And he then went after the data, saying it's white noise, it's noisy, it's unreliable, and it doesn't. If is it a ghost screen? Was it a slip screen? Was it a pick and roll, a pick and pop? I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking those are all screen
Yeah.
assists, and he's basically implying he has the same production. The offensive sets are just different. So certain screens aren't getting counted anymore. Like he just completely dismissed it. Tom Thibodeau, are you telling me he doesn't want to nerd out with me about screens? That guy probably rolls over in his sleep like "Oh, hedge, 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 hedge,
Yeah.
ice, 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 ice. So like, um, he loves basketball, and it's complexities and intricacies and quirks. He loves all of it. It's what he does. He's married to the game, and I admire him greatly for it. So why did he? Why? And he loves data. And I've been told by people who work on the data side of things that he's like their biggest fan out of all the NBA coaches. So for a guy who loves data and who loves basketball intricacies, why is he being like, why is he attacking the data and trying to just like, I think it's because he's defending Carl. So that
Yeah.
was a long-winded way of saying I think he's defended Bridges and Towns and Anunoby a lot this season. The one time he didn't defend Bridges was when he kind of interpreted Bridges as publicly coming after him. Um, and that was a weird situation. But that's it for me, right? Like I just think the Knicks are a weird team right now. Like if they weren't the Knicks, I don't think anyone would care. Um, but they are, so they do, and that's something the front office has to be aware of as they're building the team. But so far, they've done a good job of saying we don't care, and I think it's working. I think you'll see a different Knicks team next season. Already getting ahead of myself here, but not in roster so much as just a figured out identity.
Yeah, I think they definitely have a lot to work on here. They still have a series here against Detroit, and like we know that these playoff series, it doesn't mean much regular season record, but like everybody's gonna look at the fact, oh, Detroit went 3-1 against the Knicks in the regular season. Kate Cunningham torched them every game he played here. So, why did you make first takeaways on this matchup with the Pistons?
I love it. My first takeaway was how lucky are we as NBA fans that after a couple years of people people feeling like they needed to get up on a soapbox and be like, I'm not giving up on Cade Cunningham, the number one overall pick, after just 3 years. And a lot of people being like, why not? He's giving you no reason to hang on. Oh, thank God that's over. First All-Star season as an NBA player, and he makes his playoff debut in the same year. Talk about a franchise player, right? And you take a look at where that's going to happen the first two games at the Mecca, right behind you, Mike, the world's most famous arena. I mean, what are we talking about besides an amazing, exciting playoff series? But with all that established, I do think there's something to the 2 to 9 of the rotations, of the rosters. Jalen Brunson is better than people are currently giving him credit for. He just had what everyone is calling a down year. He's probably going to win Clutch Player of the Year, and he just had the 10th highest scoring season in Knicks franchise history in points per game with 26.0. So if that's a down year, God bless. You know what I mean? And like that guy is really good. Cade is really good. Here's the thing. This isn't going to be the series where the Knicks find or get their answers to their strategic problems. This isn't going to be the series where the Knicks find solutions to any locker room discomfort. This is not going to be the series where the Knicks, any Knick troubles with their coach or front office is going to be solved. This is going to be a grudge filled, petty series physical, hard-nosed, tough, nasty basketball. And you're going to see the Knicks out talent the Pistons. I do think the Pistons will win at least one game. I do not think a sweep is happening here. I also do think the Pistons have a really good chance of winning a second game. My official prediction, Knicks in six.
Yeah.
But
I
that said, the Pistons are tough and they're feisty, but they don't have the 2 to 10 like the Knicks do. So the Knicks are going to out talent them. The Knicks are going to blow them out by 41 game, win on like a damn near game winner in another, and then have like 4 to 8 point victories in those other two wins. The Pistons are going to have one blowout win and eke out one close one. And that'll be the series.
Yeah, I think to your point, you said you're not getting answers about the Knicks in the positive sense here with this series. Like, I think you get it in the negative sense if they either lose this series or if they are not competitive in the next series against the Celtics. I think like I don't think you're getting any positive answer out of this Knicks playoff run unless they're highly competitive against Boston more than they've been the entire season.
Yeah. And listen, Boston's really good. I don't think them making the finals should be like that's the obvious take, but I'm not a fan of people getting their other hot takes off. Being like, well, the Cavaliers, it's like they're really good. They're almost as good as the Celtics, right? Like it feels like the Celtics really are the gold standard in the Eastern Conference. Um, and so I don't hate people who think that a lower floor, higher ceiling team like the Knicks has the better chance to dethrone Boston in the East than Cleveland. But nah, Cleveland and Boston are really good, and the Knicks are the third team. But how big is that gap? That's what you're going to find out this playoffs, but you're not going to find it out in the Detroit series.
No, you're not because the Detroit series, like you said, I feel like six is the right number here. I think I could see this playing out like you mentioned, where like the Knicks, I could see like the playoff experience definitely being a big factor for them as well because the Pistons, apart from like Tobias Harris, don't have a ton of playoff experience. So like I think that's a different animal that young teams walking into then, especially going into game one and two in the Garden.
Do you think the Pistons can steal one of those?
I think if Cade has like a monster game, they can.
I want to say if someone out there has like a wager or ticket or whatever of like Pistons to win game one, but then the Knicks to win every other game and win in five. Like I could see that happening. I
Yeah,
could see like the 2012 final style. I could see that happening because this is the kind of Knicks team that feels like they would get shocked in game one by just how bad the Pistons want it
yeah,
and how they act like they want it. I think the Knicks will realize quickly that they have to show they want it instead of just saying it. Everyone on Knicks Twitter at least gets on Jalen Brunson for being like the like meet I got to do better, man, or like meet it's my fault, man. Like every time the team loses, he's like it's my fault, I got to do better because we're in this culture now of like no one can say anything without it being aura farming or whatever. But I do think that that mentality of Brunson's is going to be key to the Knicks waking up against the Pistons if they don't come out awake. Because I do think that Jalen has it in him to just shred these guys. Like I do think he has it in him to just say, you know what? This is how y'all want to play. Y'all want to do this. Give me the damn rock.
yeah,
Because I'm putting up 44 on 7 of 13 3-point shooting, and we're winning this effing game. And I'm going home and I'm falling asleep, and I'm waking up tomorrow praying that your heads are out of your asses.
yeah.
And like, that's this kind of like, I can just see it. So, that wouldn't surprise me either. Knicks in five if they lose game one and Jalen is just like, you want to see captain? You want a captain? Here's your captain. Give me the damn rock. Go to the damn corner and move out my damn way. Because that's the kind of thing I think for Jalen that would both be very important for this Nick team, but also be very important for the establishment of him as whether people want to see him as a DeRozan or like Sixers Harden type star player where yes, he's a star, but they don't fear him, but he has to be talked about with the top of the league. Like, okay, I think he should be way past that, but he's not. So I do think he will have the kind of first round series that just gets people to stop questioning his status as a top 10 player in the league today.
Yeah, that'd be good to see for sure here. Like, who else are you watching for in this series? You feel like could be an important player for the Knicks here? Because obviously, like,
Hart,
yeah, Josh Hart is your guy.
it was finish your question. My raging ADHD made me want to get the answer in right away, but finish your question.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like I know, like when Jalen was out, like we saw OG sort of take off and sort of become like a bit more dynamic offensive player. We know what Hart can do as sort of like the glue guy of the unit here. We know how important Mitchell Robinson's been to his helping the defense since he got back. But your guy's Hart.
So this is a credit to Mitchell Robinson that I'm picking Josh Hart because I am going to take the monster Mitch manhandling of Jalen Duren as a given.
Yeah,
I think Duren is such a talented, impressive young center. I think if you said you would take him over Mark Williams a couple months ago with the whole Lakers thing, you would have been viewed as crazy. I think I might still stand by that, for going forward. Um, because Duran is super, he has a high ceiling. And I think he can kind of fake do things with the ball in his hand. Like, I think he can be that Bam Adebayo type of offensive player. Just instead of the jump shot, more of playmaking for others. Like he does read the floor well. I'm tangentializing right now. The point is, I'm taking Mitch outplaying him as a given. I no longer think it's a given that Mitch will outplay Mobley and Allen at the same time,
yeah.
but I do think it's a given that he's got Duren. Josh Hart, man. Oh, Josh, you have been an enigma this season. You had the most triple doubles in a year by a Nick ever, right? Over Clyde. And you also had the most amount of games where you played 40 minutes and other starters didn't, and there was no seeming reason for like, listen, I know Shamit was out for a while, but if him shooting 50% on his catch and shoot threes over the last 13 games of the season, and that's not a joke, by the way. Like I didn't pull 50% out of my like let me get the exact number for you because DJ Zulo from Nick Film School tweeted it. Yeah. Catch and shoot threes, 51% Landry Shamit in the last 13 games.
Yeah.
That's a guy who could have been playing 12 minutes a game.
Yep.
Like, so I wrote an article for Klutch Points a couple weeks ago where I was like, the Knicks need to expand the rotation. Don't play the rookies. Everyone wants to see the rookies. Forget them.
Yeah.
Play Payne and Shamit because they're not that terrible. Um, they're not going to hurt your playoff chances. You can just not play them when you get there. Oh, and like to me, Josh Hart has not been a good defensive player this season. And I'll put a period after that sentence. Like full stop. He's not been a good defender this season. And in my opinion, this is where the low-hanging fruit comments come in more than ever. If you want to say it's because he plays so many minutes that he can't sustain the energy and effort needed to play his level of high intensity defense for those 40 minutes a game, I have a really easy solution to that. And it's not Mike and Ike's or coffee. It's playing 36 minutes a game, 36 and a half. Damn it, even go 37. But like, dude, lock in. He has not been good for the Knicks on defense this season. And the only reason I'm comfortable saying that, and I would tell him it's been a rough defensive year for him, is because we've seen him be a disruptor on the defensive end of the floor. He is kind of like the NFL cornerback. He's like a Trayvon Diggs,
Yeah.
on defense, where, okay, maybe he's not shut down, locked down, get anyone on an island. But when you do throw his way, he's going to mess stuff up. He's going to intercept some passes. And so he's going to make plays on the defensive end of the floor. I think the Gus Johnson, Lionheart,
Yeah.
like that three against the Sixers Where's that guy? Because if he comes out for the playoffs, the Knicks are taking the Celtics to 6 or 7,
Yeah.
at least.
Yeah. So put that, remember that one, audience here, that like Chris has said that if Josh Hart is the Josh Hart Lionheart here, the Knicks will push the Celtics as far as they can go.
I'll stand on it. I'll stand on it. And it's really because um it's really because he's the key. He's the key. And Jalen jokes with him, oh, like, what's your role again? And Josh is like, to make sure y'all eat. But I still average 14, this and that. I think the playoffs is when all like every good joke has truth to it. So like when Josh is saying that he's been a good player this year on offense, and Jalen is like, your ass. I'm the guy. I think there's a little truth to that. I also think that in the playoffs, good luck telling Josh Hart he's not one of the best shooters on the Knicks. Good luck telling Josh Hart he's not one of the best transition players in the NBA. If he can bring that level of intensity, he will be doing two things. One, setting an unfortunate Jimmy Butler-esque precedent of mailing it in a little bit, not fully, just a tad until the playoffs, but also setting that precedent of when the playoffs come, the Lionheart comes out. Because if that's something the Knicks have in their arsenal, you don't need OG and McHale to have 20 a game each. You just need one of the two to score 25 each game. You get what I'm saying? Like you don't need to hit these vague statistical benchmarks, because then theoretically you'd have to have like 100 points, and so you'd technically be in the game. You're just gonna be winning. And that's kind of the motto for this Nick team, is just figure out how to win. Like figure out how to be the best version of yourselves, even if you don't like it, because that's how you're going to win, is by being uncomfortable, but making other teams incapable in the process.
Yeah, for sure. Two quick general thoughts on like couple on each conference here, because I think honestly the East, I think most people are sort of in the camp of okay, it's Cleveland or Boston. We're going to see when they get to the conference finals who is the more equipped team to get to the finals here. Like, do you have a strong feeling here? Because I think to me, I think the X factor this whole series is Jaylen Brown's knee. I think if he's not 100%, that the Cavs can get them.
I actually think the Celtics are good enough to just like beat the Cavs, even if Jaylen Brown doesn't play the fourth quarter of every game. Like I think Jason Tatum is that good this year. I think he's been. Let me know. Let me think here first. But like, there's Jokic and Shea, and we all kind of acknowledge that. And then there's like Curry, Kawhi, Tatum, Giannis.
Yeah.
And I think he's been in that group. And I put Kawhi up there. If that's not me bleeding my hand in the other conference, I don't know what is. But in the East, at least, Tatum is fantastic. And I think people confuse what they saw in last year's playoffs with who the Celtics are. Letting Tatum make plays was the poison opposing defenses chose. You think he can't go get 30? Like he can and will. But the best play was him finding his really good teammates. So he did it. And then people were like, loser. Yeah, well, listen, Jaylen Brown got finals MVP the same way Kevin Durant did. Both very deserving finals MVPs who were not the best player on their team in the series.
Yeah.
And so the defenses chose to double Tatum. They chose to double Curry. They chose to try and take away the Tatum drives. They chose to guard Porzingis out on the perimeter instead of leaving him and dropping Lively. Well, okay, then you're going to get what you're going to get. Jaylen Brown is a really good player. Jason Tatum is an elite one. And the Boston Celtics can beat the Cleveland Cavaliers even without Jaylen Brown. I think it's the Celtics in the East. I just do. I don't see who else it's going to be this year. If it is the Cleveland Cavaliers, then we need to start having conversations about Darius Garland as like being top 25 or top 30, the way we did about Nikola Jokic's friend Jamal Murray back in those playoffs, because they're in the same role. So like what then there's got to be talks, right? There's got to be Mobley talks. There's got to be Mobley's just as good as Jaren Jackson Jr. today conversations. There's got to be Donovan Mitchell's top 10 conversations. Um, and I'm not afraid to have those conversations, but I'm just not going to rush to them.
Yeah, for sure. On the West side, I feel like there's a lot more intrigue than the East in terms of how this could play out because I mean, you got the Thunder out there,
I love it.
68 wins. SGA is probably the potential MVP. The Nuggets, as they fire their coach, like 3 weeks, like a week before the playoffs against the Clippers, who's surging. You got LeBron and Luca against the Timberwolves. You got the Warriors lurking in the play-in tournament. We're recording before the play-in tournament goes out here, and then you could be if they win on the first game, they would be playing the Rockets, and then potentially have a path to a LeBron Steph semifinals. But the West is where it's at for the playoff drama this year.
The West is the fun conference, man. I mean, how do you even begin to start describing these series? You have, in a way that no one expected, Luca back against the Timberwolves.
Yeah,
Luca and LeBron first playoff series together. Two separate amazing angles, same series.
yeah.
You have the best team James Harden has ever been on. Is that fair?
It's certainly certainly the conversation.
You have one of the best teams. Yeah, like I just said, but Mike misheard me. You have one of the best teams that James Harden has ever been on, going for a championship, and Kawhi Leonard's on it, and he's playing at an elite level, and he's healthy. Did I just wake up from a coma? And it's 2018.
Yeah,
Like, we are so back. Everyone is talking about LeBron, Curry, Durant as being the proof flavored pudding that legends never die, and these guys are still at the top. Kevin Durant's not in the playoffs. Kawhi Leonard is. James Harden is.
yeah.
16 years. 16 years of James Harden being a member, a player in the National Basketball Association. Mike, how many playoffs has he missed?
I'm gonna say one. Zero.
Zero.
Yep.
Winner.
Yeah.
And so the narratives, guess who they're going up against? The team that just fired their head coach after game 79 in the Denver Nuggets, who have, oh, the best player alive.
Yeah.
That's two series.
Yeah.
We haven't even gotten to the. This is the best playoff bracket I can remember seeing before the playoffs even start. Golden State Houston in the first round would be amazing. Can the physicality of the Rockets really give trouble to the Warriors, who really are starting a rookie at center still because he can shoot? And because they traded for Butler, and him and Draymond trying to space the floor is like Mike and I trying to perform a string duo at Carnegie Hall tonight. Like, we'll make sound happen. Noise will be made out of the instruments. It's not going to sound great. So, like, with that said, that series is fast. Like, this is all fantastic. It's fantastic. We'll see what happens with the play-in. John Morant has never had a bad game against the Warriors,
Yeah.
like in the history of his life. I get he's not much older than me. If he is, what is he, like 2 years older? Jeez. Yeah, like he's about 2 years older than me. So that's interesting that uh maybe by the time he's 28, he'll have a bad game against the Warriors. Maybe he's at least just one on his record. But hey, if that game comes today, then we have some interesting offseason conversations maybe to have about the Grizzlies and their front office and what they're building. But if it doesn't, can they win? Can they beat the Warriors?
Yeah.
Can they so this is all just amazing. For me, it goes like this. Watch out for the Golden State Warriors and their championship pedigree. Kevon Looney being like an afterthought in that rotation right now is a good thing for them. He's a good player. He just can't space, so he can't play as much anymore with Draymond and Butler. I think they're going to be able to make up for what he brought with Post and with Butler and Draymond, and then Looney is able to anchor the bench unit. So the Warriors kind of fixed their depth problems by trading for a starter, if that makes sense. And they're the team to watch for in the West, in my opinion, if the Nuggets win in the first round against the Clippers.
Okay.
If the Clippers win in the first round against the Nuggets, I want Clippers Boston on the record right now. Clippers Celtics. And honestly, at that point, I'm scared to make a prediction. I want to say Boston in six. I don't know. Like, what if they awaken the beast, dude? Like, what if Kawhi just what if he just goes on another tear and the ball bounces 12 times before falling in the net this time, but it still goes in? Like, this is the beauty of this. We just don't know what incredible things will happen. I sound like Jameis Winston before like that like in that snow game. Like I am so grateful to have this opportunity to but like you get my point. Like I'm genuinely so happy. I'm smiling ear to ear, grateful for this playoff bracket on the western side. I think the Clippers are the team to ride. They got hot at the right time. Ty Lue, Jeff Van Gundy behind the wheel of that ship, no pun intended. And Chris Dunn, Zubac, just being the supporting Derrick Jones Jr. being the supporting cast for two of the 30 or 40 best players ever in Harden and Leonard. Sign me up, man.
Yeah,
Sign me up for that, man.
Chris, all in on the Clippers. They're a sleeper in the playoffs right now.
Listen, I had a chance to talk to Ivica Zubac a couple weeks ago. I wrote about it for Clutch Points. I think he should be the most improved player. I think he should be on the Defensive Player of the Year ballot, even if he won't win it, because Mobley should win it. But with all that said, like I think the Clippers have this opportunity right now to just shock the NBA world to the point of numbness. Like if they're going to the Western Conference Finals up against the Lakers, would you be surprised if the Clippers won? Like not really, right? Like oh, they made it there. Now they're going up against a newly established core of superstars and they just game them. They just outplay them. And JJ has his match in Ty Lue and Van Gundy. All the analytics versus all the ball knowledge.
Yeah.
I love it. I cannot be more happy about these playoffs. I'm so psyched.
Yep, playoffs going to be starting full force on Saturday. Chris, thanks for all the time. Really appreciate it. People want to keep up with you on social media, some of your NBA content. How can they do that?
Yeah, they can type in Chris with a K and then let their cat walk across their keyboard. It'll probably get closer to my last name than anyone else. No, it's Kris Pursianen, Kris, P as in Peter, Ursi, and I'm sure it'll autofill by then because thankfully for the rest of the world, no one else has this name. Uh, as bubbling in standardized tests was not fun in school. All that said, the All Things NBA podcast on YouTube. You can go check out my show too. I am planning on having Mike on soon, so get ready for that. But we did just put out an episode with Claire DeLune. We talked about the Luka Doncic trade, his return to Dallas, and how the emotions behind it are a like human resistance to capitalism. We also talked about Tom Thibodeau and the myth of his minutes and JJ Redick, and we did some awards picks. So go check that out. The episode with Claire DeLune. She's lovely on the All Things NBA podcast. And go check out my Twitter. It's my name, but one word as the at KrisPursi should get you all the way home. Mike, thank you so much for having me on the show. The listeners don't know this, but I was absolute hell to wrangle for
Yeah.
this episode. So thank you, Mike. I'm now 2 hours and 20 minutes into my day today, and I'm excited to go take a walk or something. But what a way to start my morning here at 5 p.m. if that gives you a window into how my sleep schedule is recently.